The crowd roared louder than ever. It was expected. They loved watching death so long as it wasn't their own. I gripped his hair and wrenched his head back. I planted my blade across his pillar of a neck, and like a saw, I cut. He groaned in pain. I enjoyed it, until I reached the Adam's apple and he choked. The anger reminded me of the past. I couldn't stop but to remember of the past. At this point, it is the gods that are confessing to me, reminding me of my mission. But still, I remember it like it was yesterday. We mined the fields for what we called the Emperor's bones. The Empire and the aristocrats who ruled it called it Valerium. It looked like sand, tiny, shimmering grains scattered across dead worlds. But each particle held the power of a star. Valerium fed the Empire. It fueled the fleets, the cities, and the 7 stars themselves. It was dangerous work. Men died every week beneath the dust storms and collapsing pits. But the Empire never called these places mines. They called them purpose worlds. The 7 stars reminded us of that constantly. From the day we were children, we were taught the same words. You are the foundation
of this civilization. Every beam of starship carries the strength of a miner's hands. Without the purpose world, the stars themselves would fall from heaven.
Statues of workers stood across the Dominion. Songs are written about us. The Empire praises us as the heroes of the galaxy. And because of that, we work. We work until our bones break. We work until our lungs are filled with dust. We work until we die. All of it, believing we are loved. Believing we are serving humanity. But the truth is, that's all a lie. Just a story the Empire tells us so its slaves never ask questions. Miles of black scaffolding and drilling towers stretched across the dead plain. I can still feel their engines groaning like tired beasts. Conveyor rigs crawled along the rails, carrying the shimmering dunes of Valerium toward towering refineries that pulsed with orange reactor light. Children worked the stiffers. They were small enough to crawl beneath the harvesting machines that adults couldn't. And once they became adults, they are required to have children so the cycle continues.
Okay.
I had knelt beside a vibrating metal tray bolted to the side of the harvesting rig. The tray rattled violently as a stream of glittering sand poured through it, the machine separating ordinary dust from the glowing particles of Valerium. Then, a large shadow fell over me. Kid, Captain Marik Durvin, overseer of the field. He stood above me with a data pad tucked beneath his arm. His coat flapped in the wind, dust clinging to the leather-like frost. His face was lined from years under dead skies. He stared at me for a moment. Then he jerked his thumb toward the machine. You see that tray shaking right there? I nodded. That's the shifters. Valerium's lighter than rock but heavier than ash. When the machine vibrates, the junk floats up. The good stuff sinks. He pointed to a narrow metal channel where faint golden grains slid downward. That's the Emperor's bones right there. I watched the glowing dust slide into a small collection bin. Captain Marik crouched down beside me with a grunt. Now, your job ain't digging. You're too small for the drills. You don't got that strength like I do. I laughed. You watch the stiffer, okay? Okay. He was reminding me, trying in his own way to keep me alive. Sometimes the Valerium clumps together. When it does, the tray jams. If it jams, pressure builds in the extractor. If pressure builds, then boom. It happened last week. We lost 15 men and 4 boys. Pieces of equipment were scattered across everywhere, and pieces of people too. Boots still standing upright in the sand, a helmet cracked open like an egg, and a glove with a hand still in it. I remember the silence more than anything. The machines had been shut down for a moment. There was no roaring engines, no grinding conveyors, and the smell. Burnt metal, burnt clothes, and burnt flesh. It settled into the air and it wouldn't leave. Older miners covered what they could with tarps, and we went back to work within that hour, because the trays still had to shake and the Valerium still had to flow. Now here's what you do, Marie continued. When the tray stops shaking, right, you poke the clumps loose. Gentle, be gentle. Don't stab at it like an idiot. Just break the sand apart so it flows, you understand? I nodded. I watched as she stood up, towering over me. Now, don't fall asleep. If that tray jams and you're daydreaming, the whole rig goes up. Takes 20 men with it. And your dad's gonna kill me if something happens to you. When is he coming back? I asked. Today.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Hold on. Just remember, okay? The Empire runs because that tray keeps shaking. And if you do a good job, I'll give you your present.
Oh, okay. You just watch.
Okay.
Watch. I'ma do it the best. It will shake. It will loosen. I will poke it. Man, you just watch and you keep that present ready.
The olden days. It wasn't long before we heard engine in the sky. It was an Empire ship. They're a bit early, aren't they? I asked Captain Marie. Yes, they are. The Empire ship descended through the red sky. Dust spiraled outward as it settled onto the barren field. The moment its landing struts touched the ground, the wind carried the shimmering Valerium sand around the hull like drifting starlight. A seam of light split across the ship's side. The door opened. Several men stepped down the ramp, their dark suits untouched by the dust and ruins of the mines. Officials, aristocrats, men who belonged to the stars and not the ground. At least that's what I thought. They removed their helmet, and the last to do so, at the front of them, was my father. Dad! Hey, kiddo! Come here. Oh, I missed you. You've gotten heavier, huh? You've been eating a lot? Just a little. How old are you now? 7. 7? Oh, wow, okay. You're a big boy now, huh? You think you could take on your own man? Come on, put him up. Come on. Is that all you got? Huh? Take this right here. Come on. You picked me up. Okay, you won. You gotta get a cup of protein in you. Once you grow up to be 18, we'll try this again. And I looked over his shoulder, and I saw the ship. Where'd you get the ship? I thought only the Empire's fleet had ships like that. Oh, well, it was a gift. For us. You're working so hard. And for your mom, too. Come on, let's go find her. We started walking away. And still looking over his shoulder, I saw the several men that came with him bundled together. Is the tracking system off? Yes. They won't be able to track us. Good. Later that night, I slipped out my bedroom, careful to keep my footsteps soft. I pressed myself against the door frame and peeked through the narrow crack of my mom and dad's bedroom. Inside, The room smelled of sweat and iron. My father's armor lay discarded on the floor, dented and scratched. Blood-stained bandages were piled nearby, still dark and sticky. He was on the bed, hunched forward slightly, his back marred with fresh wounds that oozed slowly. My mother knelt beside him, her hands steady pressing clean cloths against the cuts. "You're so stupid, risking yourself like this," my mom said. I watched my father place his right hand gently on her cheek, tilting his own head just enough to meet her gaze. Then he slowly lifted his head, forcing her to follow his movement, locking her eyes on his with no choice but to hold his stare. "I love you. Every thought I have is about keeping all of us safe and alive, but not like this. I wish there was another way. I wish I could walk away and pretend this wasn't happening, but I've seen the truth. We've seen the truth. And I cannot allow my people and my family to live like this when they stuff their bellies fat while we search for scraps." My mom's hands were trembling as she touched my father's wounds. "I hate this. I hate knowing I might lose you. Babe, you won't lose me. I'll be right here, right by your side. Always. Forever." My dad pulled his hand from her cheek and grabbed a hold of my mom's hand and pulled it away from his wounds and placed it on his own cheek. He then tilted his head to kiss my mom's palm, and then her wrist, and then her forearm, shoulder, and then her lips. I turned away. And I ran outside. Later on, I found myself standing a couple feet from the spaceship, the Empire's spaceship. It had things I had never seen before, and metal was strong. So strong it felt like it could shrug off a starfall. It felt heavy, like a predator. "You like it?" Dad, you scared me. It's huge, right?" "Yeah, it looks so ancient." "Nah, not that ancient. Here, let me give you your present." The metal doors slid open again, hissing like a living thing. We stepped inside. The interior was a maze of glowing panels, blinking lights, buttons far more than any conveyor or mining rig I had ever seen. The hum of energy thrummed beneath our feet, vibrating through the floor. My father sank onto the captain's chair, fingers finding the right controls, each press and flick activating a system I couldn't even begin to understand. "Come, sit down." I sat down. The engine turned on, and slowly the ship lifted, floating above the ground, and then we began our climb. Our planet was always shrouded in thick red clouds. Even at night, the stars barely pierced the haze, hiding the universe beyond. But as we rose higher, slicing through the swirling gas, the clouds thinned. And then... Happy birthday, Leonidas. I saw the stars. Million points of light blared before me. Stars. Entire galaxies. I could see constellations I had only heard about, scattered like jewels across infinite darkness. They shimmered and danced, indifferent to our struggles, yet somehow beautiful. The ship drifted silently above the cloud line, and I felt my chest expand with something I had known I could feel. Wonder and fear and a strange, thrilling sense of freedom. "You like them?" love them. They're everywhere. I never knew the sky could be like this. I know, son. I know. That first time, it stays with you. I realized then, as the stars stretched endlessly around me, that the universe was bigger than the empire, bigger than the minds, bigger than the fear or blood or pain. My father reached out, resting a hand lightly on my shoulder, as if grounding me to reality while letting me soar at the same time. But imagine if we weren't here, floating above the clouds. Imagine if we were still down there, trapped. The clouds below, the mines, the empire. They make you work. They cage your hands, your body, your mind. And every boy and every girl, every miner, they're pieces of a machine, grinding, bleeding for their glory. And the worst part, most don't survive long enough to see the stars. But we're pioneers, the ones who built the mines, who fuel the 7 stars. They write songs about us. They call us heroes, the foundations of civilization. That is a lie. The songs, the statues, the speeches, they're just stories. A story to keep us working, to keep us quiet, to make us think our suffering is noble. This is control. Leonidas, it's fear. And if we stay here, if we stay under their shadows, we'd never know the stars. Not like this. I stared back into the infinite sky, the stars reflecting in my wide eyes. A wonder came into my mind. Where do you go? You leave, and you're gone for a very long time. Some days, Mom thinks you'll never come back. And your scars and wounds, they're more than just accidents. There are days I think you look like you were punched or kicked. You were listening to Mom and I, weren't you? Sorry, it's okay. I knew you were watching. I know your footsteps anywhere. Our people suffer, Leonidas, and I want them to see the stars just like we do. I want them to walk through cities of silver and gold, breathe clean air and swim in lakes and surf oceans that shine blue under the sun. I want them to lie on grass as green as Meredith. I want us to be free. But they won't let us. They call us rebels, and every one of us deep down know this is wrong. But fear keeps us waiting. We wait for someone, anyone, to lead, to take responsibility and bear the cost if it fails. That's why I fight. That's why I lead. I will take that responsibility. I can take that responsibility. Do I have the heart to stand before the regents and wardens and tell them they are wrong? Do I have the heart to fight for what's right? I do. Now I can take responsibilities, and I can have the heart to fight for what's right. Can I connect with the aching, sobbing pain of freedom everyone desires and has deep down for them to follow me, to trust me? Can I lead them to that salvation? Can you? I can try. If I fail, then I know that I have sparked the mind of someone else to try again. If you are kind in your heart, then you are bounded. You are bounded by the laws of time and space, past and future, bounded by the laws of the gods to fight for what's right. For years, we have mined this place, never knowing freedom. If you have the strength to carry the responsibilities, then you are responsible for your future children and people, and responsibilities to honor your past. If you have the heart to fight, then you have the love to ensure your people do not carry the blood in their hands like you do. And if you can connect, then you must ensure to bring your community together, never apart, and always aware. I looked at my father. He was a great man, a loving husband, and a good friend. All the things I wanted to be. I do this so you don't have to. So you don't have to fight. You will grow up with a full belly and know the touch of water. I do this so your mom will look beautiful under the yellow sun and blue skies. I do this so our people will laugh and breathe. I do this so we will have time to console our dead without getting back to work in that hour. I do this so your hands won't be dirty like mine. Okay? Okay. Come here. That's my boy. I love you. I love you too, Dad. What's that? Something is entering our system, breaching our sensors. It's moving fast. No, that doesn't make sense. The tracking system is off. We returned to land, and I watched my father rush towards the tent. I followed close behind. Inside, the men he had arrived with were already gathered in a circle around the table. A large map laid flat across it, edged with glowing lines and symbols. Scattered over the map were models, miniature ships, land units, and figures representing generals and fleets positioned in formation. They found us.
What? How?
I don't know, but we have to hurry. Lou, grab the solar reavers and graviton repulsors, disrupt their communications. Okay, Orion, go wake everyone up. Full step procedures now. Everyone else, grab your exosuits, collaborate your kinetic shields, and verify your grav drive stabilizers. Any system failure now is catastrophic. He turned to look at me. Go get your mom. And you know how we played our game hide and seek? The cave? You go deep. Right in the living room. You go all the way to the end. You know, I was waiting for you until you turned 19. I was gonna give it to you. You understand? Yes? Good. Good. Tell your mom I love her, okay? Dad? He put his hand on my cheek. I'm going to be fine. Okay? It's going to be okay. Alright? I nodded. Okay. Be strong for your mom. Go. I ran as fast as I could across the barren dunes of the night-shrouded world. Sand beneath my feet, I looked up. Through the thick, swirling clouds above, highlights of ships cut across the darkened sky, as slender streaks of light moving like a predator.
Mom! Mom!
I shouted. I busted through the door, and trailing from the entrance all the way to the body in the living room was blood. And I saw her. My mom on her back, her neck arched, her eyes looking at me upside down. I could see the light for a moment, full fraction leaving her eyes. I could only imagine her last thought when she saw me. And grasping, clenching heavily around her throat were hands. Captain Marie. The fight drained from her. The hand that she had wrapped around his wrist loosened, and her body went limp. Captain Marie looked up at me, tears in his own eyes. I'm sorry, kid. Mom? Mom! I ran towards her. Marie stood. He hit me across the face, and I passed out. By the time I came to, Marique was gone, and holding my mother in his arms was my dad, caressing her cheek softly. He looked up at me. Did you get a good look at him? Marique. By the look of it, it caught him by surprise. It took a second before he nodded, swallowing the knot in his throat. One of my dad's men rushed in.
Captain, we're losing men out there. We need to retreat.
My dad looked at his wife, then at his second in command, then me, and then back to his second in command, and he nodded. The man grabbed me, covering my mouth. My father laid his wife down and covered her, and then he walked to stand beside his second in command. I'm entrusting you. Get him somewhere safe. I retaliated, but to no avail. Inside our home, through the cracks of the door, we laid low. We watched as my father walked across the field of bodies, and across him, standing in a line, were soldiers, all ready to fire. There were 20 in total, and at the center was a man seated, clad in golden armor. Beside him stood another, larger in size and height, gripping a massive hammer that seemed almost too heavy for a mortal to wield. On the other side was a woman, slim, her arms crossed beneath her chest with blades and an X on her back. And with his back turned, Marique walked up the ramp of the ship carrying what he believed was his reward for the betrayal. Halfway up, he paused and glanced back over his shoulder at my father. Slowly, my father bent down and lifted a blade from the ground. He raised it, pointing the tip straight at the man who had betrayed the people of the Purpose World. I need your life. Marique avoided his gaze, looking down as he continued up the ramp. Behind him, my father stepped forward, slowly at first. The man standing between them, the only golden figure among the divine, flicked his fingers, and at that gesture, 5 of the 20 wardens stepped forward. My father's pace quickened. Without slowing, he moved through them all one by one, his blade flashing as it cut through the 5 until he stood behind them all. It wasn't until he finished his final step, until he swiped the blade clean through the air, that their bodies reacted. Then he stood still. The man, again, gestured, and 5 more were sent. My father had taught me a lot of things in his life, including fighting. But this... After taking the life of the last warden, heavy footsteps thundered across the floor. My father glanced over his shoulder and at the last second, crossing his arms in an X, he flipped like an acrobat, rotating through the air before landing on his feet and sliding back against the ground. But I could see it immediately, the way he hung limp at his side. His right arm, his good arm, was broken. I've heard a lot of things about you. You're mighty and skillful. I've had my fair shares of battles now, and I'll be honest, it's getting kind of boring. Can you give me what I need? Blood for blood. My father, he looked tired and angry. Blood for blood. That's what I'm talking about. Come on! They ran to each other. My father rolled to the side before his giant hammer crashed to the ground. He lunged forward, prepared to slice his neck, but the giant backhanded my father with a thud. And that's when I realized my mom was tending to his wounds, and he was still bleeding. I panicked. The second in command must have thought it too. It wasn't going to end well. Let's go. He scooped me up and pressed a hand to a hidden panel beneath the floor. A section of the ground shifted, revealing a narrow passage that led downward. We descended into the shadow cavern below, the cold stone swallowing us as the outside world and the danger faded from view. It only took a couple seconds before he tossed me inside a room that looked similar to the spaceship Dad and I were in. Please, you must do something to help my dad, please. He took off his helmet, and I saw a scar etched diagonally across his face. His eyes were cold. No human, no love, no glint of dream. Just pain and suffering. He blasted off on the ground, which knocked me off my feet. The floor of the surface opened up and the ship expelled out. I could see, as I stood up to look out the window, they looked at us. The man clad in golden armor looked at us, looked at me as if his vision was that of a hawk. I saw him and he saw me. He flicked his hand and every warden turned in unison, guns raised to the heavens. My father saw this and acted quickly, picked up a solar lever from the ground and tweaked with the system in such a haste. I watched as the land became consumed in red dust cloud. At the same time, a force encompassed our ship, holding us suspended in the air. Shit! I turned back toward the man at the controls. His fingers flew across the console as his teeth gritted. But he pushed on, persisted, relentlessly. By then, the dust cloud settled. The wardens were all knocked down at their feet, but my father, he was arching his back as the twin blade from the woman had pierced through him. He fell to his knees, and the three generals surrounded him. The man in golden armor stood before my father with a blade in his hand, gleaming like a golden starlight. He directed the tip to my father's chin and gently lifted his head up to meet his cold, icy blue eyes. Everyone will know the truth. Truth? What truth? The man said. Tonight, my father will bend the truth, and that alone will change everything. You've caused us many troubles, but to the world you are rebels, a nasty infestation in the ground of our empire. And look what you've done. You've arrived back to this land, to the planet of hard-working heroes of the galaxy, the foundation of civilization, the purpose world, and you've destroyed it. You've killed their people. And watch as we tell the stars of how we lost one of our own, and how we can try to work together to prevent this from happening again. Any person with such thoughts of ruining the empire, confess of them, and we would thrive again, wholly in the land of the gods. You are our greatest advertisement in this system. You cannot cross the laws of morality like we do. Not without consequence. Not without everything falling. I watched as he lifted his blade up. And now, what spark have you caused? What uproar of change have you indented in our armor? I do hope the Reaper forgets your soul. Leave it to wander the world and be the watcher of our great empire.
Dad! No! No! Open the door! Open the door!
I can't do that, kid. The grip on us came loose and we soared higher than ever. And for the first time, I saw the outside of our planet. And beside it was a ship massive in size, powering up. And in due time, it blasted my home, buried itself deep into the core until it collapsed on itself and exploded.
No! Dad! Mom!
Hold on, kid. We're going to hyperdrive. Years now I stood before the citadel, holding high the severed head of the behemoth that broke my father's arm. The tournament of the Crown Fall match was over. I won, and my glare only focused on the Emperor, and beside him the man who took my father and home from me, his son. My name is Leonidas. Let history remember this. And I am the last child of the seventh promised world in the Andromeda Galaxy. I have suffered, I had been broken, widowed and orphaned, and I have been damned by your hands, and I carried that pain across the stars. It was I who painted the nebula gates of Rixed in blood. It was I who destroyed, defeated the legions of Kronos in less than a minute. And it was I who killed the Emperor's wife.
and his unborn child. Many names you called me, killer of men, destroyer of worlds, so be it. I stand before you all as the wrath of God, and I will return to you 1,000-fold of the suffering you gave to me.
On that day, no human who has lived or ever will know a rage greater than mine. Thank you for listening to Legacylensprod production audiobook, The 7 Stars, written by Jeremy Polba.